Okay, everybody, what's going on here? Back again with another video here, and I just want to make this video right now, just to pay my condolences to Demaryius Thomas and his family, because obviously I got the news too about 2 days ago that Demaryius Thomas, former wide receiver for the Denver Broncos, has passed away. And the thing is, man, this really kind of just struck me very almost emotionally, And even though I was never a fan of the Denver Broncos, I can't help but admit that Demaryius Thomas, man, that guy, he was insanely good for Denver. I mean, I remember Peyton Manning throwing those deep vertical routes to him, in his prime, and I think that's no quarterback and wide receiver in the past. I'd have to say probably 10 years did it better than Peyton Manning to Demaryius Thomas. Like, man, Demaryius Thomas, that guy, he was the most underrated wide receiver I've ever seen, And, I always had tremendous amount of respect for Demaryius Thomas for if there was one NFL player, you know, that's not on the New England Patriots that I always had a tremendous amount of respect for, it would have to be Demaryius Thomas. I think he's the most uh, NFL player, in the AFC that I had tremendous amount of respect for outside division, because obviously also Demaryius Thomas, he also played, like I think a couple of games for us, because I remember when we signed him in 2019 and we ended up releasing him, I think, like what, a month later or something, I don't know, but he only played, I think, like what, 1 or 2 games for us. But still, man, people just will never realize just how good Demaryius Thomas was in his prime. Number 88 for the Denver Broncos, like that guy, he was insanely good. I'll never forget those days, because did watch a couple of the Bronco games, because obviously, whenever it was Monday Night Football, if there is one memorable game that I have, from Demaryius Thomas, it would have to be that playoff game when he caught that, I think, what was it, a slant route from Tim Tebow to help upset the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 2012 NFL playoffs. Like, I still remember that play, when Tebow threw that pass to Demaryius Thomas, and then Demaryius Thomas took off for like what was an 88-yard touchdown or something, in the first play of the game. Like, that's how I found out about Demaryius Thomas, and since then, man, I've been following him throughout his NFL career, and I just can't help but admit that guy, man, he was absolutely just an incredible player. And the thing about Demaryius Thomas is that he seemed like a very incredible, very super nice, and a very humble guy, and that's the type of NFL players I like, ones that are very humble and all that stuff, and I think that Demaryius Thomas was one of the most humble players in NFL history, and just the fact that he passed away is just unfreaking real, man, like, because it doesn't matter who you play for, no matter who you play for, whether it's the Broncos, the Chiefs, the Jaguars, the Cowboys, nobody should ever lose their life like that at such a young age, at the age of 33. Demaryius Thomas, he still had a whole nother life ahead of him. And it's just really scary to think that an NFL player can just have their life cut short like that, man. It's absolutely really freaking scary. And, I can't imagine the pain, his family is going through, because Demaryius Thomas, man, hey, I watched his documentary, and, man, I was absolutely emotionally attached to that documentary when I watched it. It was like, I think, what was it, on E360, on E60 or something, a couple of years back, and it just goes to show that the type of player Demaryius Thomas was, that he left a big impact, and obviously, his his 2013 season will never be forgotten, just that crazy season he had, just of him having that height, that speed for a wide receiver, man, like that was just absolutely incredible, and even if you're not a Broncos fan, you still can't help but admit Peyton Manning to Demaryius Thomas, that will go down as one of the best quarterback to wide receiver, combos in NFL history. And just the fact that he passed away is just really heartbreaking to imagine. Just I really can't believe this, because if I just remember, that game, it was that game back in 2012 playoffs, and then there was another memorable game that I saw, when I was watching Monday Night Football on TV, when Peyton Manning threw a very short pass to Demaryius Thomas, and then Demaryius Thomas took off for, what was it, like an 87 or a 70-yard touchdown. It was like that game back in 2013, that game when Peyton Manning threw for 7 touchdowns against the defending Super Bowl champions at that time, the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah, like, I still remember that game, when Demaryius Thomas just took off on a short pass, and then he just ran all the way down the sideline. Like, you just can't help but admit that guy was incredibly underrated, and it's just really sad to see a player just have their life cut short, because I really felt like Demaryius Thomas, he just I feel like he just had his whole life ahead of him, and just the fact that he's gone is just unfreaking real, man. Like, I just can't really believe it. Like, because he was the player that I always had the most amount of respect for out of any player in the AFC. That even if they didn't play for my team, But, man, I just want to send out my condolences and prayers to Demaryius Thomas' family, and all that stuff. And I just don't know what else to say, man. Just really sad week here in the NFL world. Like, I'm just in a loss of words, man. So to Demaryius Thomas, man, rest easy, bro. And I personally think that the Denver Broncos should retire his number 88. So anyways, guys, that's the video here, and see you in another one.